Today we're going to be talking about a segment of reality-based training that includes edged weapon awareness. Over the years, some of the training that has been done in a very static setting. Even when we're using some sort of a dynamic training model, we would use different types of practice weapons. One of the more popular weapons would be something like a blue knife. Even though it's got a dull edge and there's no cutting that can go on, there are dangers with a knife like this because it is extremely pointy. If we were to get a little carried away and do some sort of a thrust, we could break ribs or even penetrate skin with the right amount of pressure behind this. One of the interesting things about a knife like this is that there's no pain penalty for tactical consequence. If I was coming up with Jim and doing any type of edged weapon work with him, he's going to be using his ninja death move in order to try and terminate my knife attack, but he's not really into it as though he would be with a real knife. One of the innovative knife training tools that came along over the years incorporates a marking blade. With this particular blade, we could put a type of chalk, almost like the same type of chalk you'd use for doing street paintings, in order to mark the edge. Now, if we were doing another dynamic drill with Jim, we could work with him so as that he'd still be trying to defend against that blade as he would, but as you can see, we could go back and after action and realize that no matter what he did, he could still get cut, and these could be some very dangerous cuts for him. Recently, a company came out with something called the shocknife. Now, the shocknife is a little more innovative in that it's got an electrified edge. Electricity seems to frighten the midbrain. A lot of human beings are afraid of electricity, and psychologically, just coming up to Jim and doing this, there's a little bit more of a fear factor in that. Jim, if you move in a little bit closer, there's a setting on the knife that allows you to dial up the amount of electricity up or down. This is probably at its highest setting and will penetrate some clothing so that you'll notice there's a pain penalty. Now, Jim, you'll find that still has some hang time even now. Even though the electricity is gone, there's still a bit of a sensation there, kind of like the feeling of a paper cut. It's certainly not pleasant. Now, when we go to train with this, all of a sudden Jim is starting to stay away from that knife a little bit more, much more realistically, because there's a consequence for tactical error, much like you'd have with a marking cartridge. As soon as you add a pain penalty for tactical error, you're going to get a much more realistic response from your students. The danger with this is that people start playing around with the technology, and everybody that picks up one of these things automatically turns into an 8-year-old where they want to go start playing games with their friends. If you're using technologies like this, as innovative as they are, stay professional, treat it like it's a real blade, and you're going to get the most out of your training. As soon as you start to lower the bar of professionalism, you lose the training value.